that infrared eyeball that I was just describing. It doesn't have any menu option in there to allow you to get in there and address that. But as we get around to the rooms, I'll show you that, because that's one of those things, I mean, I think it's a pretty good feature. And since you've got a 7 to 9 occupancy, let's say that, you know, 2 or 3 days a week, realistically everybody's gone at 6 p.m. If you go in there and define that sensing high and how to run it, you know, come 6 o'clock, everybody's out of the building. 30 minutes later, things today. Nobody in here. I go right to setback now, 2.5 hours early.
Okay. Okay.
Well, guys, let me ask you, where do you want to start? You want me to give you a rundown on understanding what the outdoor unit is doing, how to come out there and look at a problem on it? You want to go start with indoor units? You want to start with the controls?
What's the closest?
Controls?
Well, we've got everything up here. We got there's a central control down there. We got some condensing units on the roof right outside this door here. And then we'll have to take a walk downstairs to look at one of the actual VRV units. These units up here are actually on a mini split. I'll get it in as a separate deal. That's a little different than the heat recovers.
Well, we start with the controls and then move to the VRF.
Indoors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what's Benny?
Benny?
Yeah. He run inside, don't he? It's gonna be his building, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Benny coming at 8, but I ain't seen him.
And he's on vacation. Yeah,
we ain't seen him. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, lucky him.
Got home, man.
Well, let's step on down this way. Rick, you have the a key to this cabinet?
No, I don't, Dave.
All right. The only thing I wanted to do, I wanted to pop up the door and show you. There's another part of lighting controls inside this cabinet. That's the actual backnet interface.
Okay.
Okay, so your BA's people are actually talking to that backnet box that's physically inside here.
Okay.
This device is called Mytouch Management. Okay, it's your touch screen. This is what you can use for a quick glimpse at what's going on throughout the building. Okay. Every one of these areas you see defined in here represents one of your condensing units that are parked around the roof in various areas. You have 9 total. There's actually 10 or 11 zones. The other 2 is your mini split that's doing this area up here. And then I put the telecom mini splits in their own zone as well. So that they run cooling only. So I put them on their own zone. But anyway, you walk up to the screen. This is normally the way you would leave it set up, just like this.
Question, you said the mini splits run cooling only?
In the telecom rooms.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Communication don't need heat. I'm about to
Yeah.
say up here, I'm afraid.
Well, no, the mini split here, this mini split here is a heat pump.
Okay.
Okay. The mini splits that are out on the roof there,
Right.
they are strictly an air conditioner. It's just, right, they're designed to go in an IT closet for cooling only application.
Okay.
In fact, if you come in here and look at that zone, you come down and highlight this. Okay, and you go look at the status, you come over here and try to do something with the setting, you'll notice that the only mode of operation you've got is cool.
Okay.
All right? Anyway, we can manipulate through this or navigate through it. Typically, there's a screen you'll be looking at. That's all your condensing zones. You can display it a couple of ways. I usually stack them, but you can also put them in that order as well. Okay? When you hit that down button, what that's going to allow you to do, when you highlight any condensing zone and hit the down button, it now lets you see all the member cassettes or air handlers, fan coils, whatever you want to call them, that are in those rooms. And at that point, you know, if you've got an error code showing, you can come in here to that unit, hit your detail button, and it'll tell you what's going on, what ails. Then you can take a parking and Dike and get an idea what you need to work on. Okay? This is what is defining all of your restrictions as well in the rooms.
Okay.
And it's done on a condensing unit level. So right now, what they wanted me to define in here, you got a set point range for cooling, 73, 78, and heating 67 to 72.
Okay.
And all of the functions that are restricted on the controllers, that actually comes through backnet. There's a page that physically goes missing the minute that Daikin's backnet gets enabled, because they consider that to be high order control. So the tab that would normally appear right here, which would be RC restrictions, is now gone. That function is being performed by the backnet. And I know he's got them enabled because I hit a couple on my way up here today. If you had a one-off mode or anything else, it comes back and tells you under centralized control, input being restricted. That's the message that they'll get. Okay? So if you wanted to change anything outside there, this is where you have to do it. Now, these things are also set up to run automatically, auto changeovers. In other words, they will automatically make a decision between heating and cooling based on the room sensor, okay, and the set point.
Okay.
It won't look at Martha and see her shiver to make a decision. Okay? It works on hard numbers and hard numbers only.
Okay.
A lot of times, educators get in a room and they don't seem to be able to understand, well, I'm looking at this thing, why is it not doing what I want to do? And it's just simple math. I mean, if the room temperature is 75 and you notice you've got a maximum heat set point of 72, guess what? It ain't going to heat. All right? You're also limited by outdoor temperature too. Some people, you know, on a 75-degree day still feel they need to have heat on.
Yeah.
I'll let you do it.
Okay.
They will respect you. Now, these systems are what are called heat recovery systems, so 3-pipe systems. So every room can operate independently of the one adjacent to it. So if we get into that twilight zone where you may actually have some heating and cooling going on, this unit on the same system can be heating while this unit over here is cooling. Any combination above, all heat, all cool, 50-50, 90-10, whatever it is, they can all operate independently of one another. That's the whole idea behind this particular system.
Okay.
Just like having a bunch of little mini splits in every room, only it's all working off of one big outdoor unit out there.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on this so far?
Nope.
You made it so simple.
This is 100% outside air going to the unit, correct?
The indoor units, no, they're just circulating the room. I don't believe there's any indoor air supplied other than what this unit is doing through common ducts down the hallways and into the rooms. But there's nothing, Rick, there's nothing ducted into these cassettes for outside air, is there?
Not tied directly into the cassettes, those are dumped into the room.
Just in the room, that's what I thought.
Just
We
recirculating
got
them.
registers and grills, 100% outside air units to feed all the common areas.
Right,
Okay.
all right.
But they're not tied into the fan coils.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I enable in here is that auto changeover feature. And again, it'll make a decision on the room sensors. If somebody wants to try and force heat, let's say you're in that twilight zone, with a high set point of 72, your highest heat set point, basically it's defined right now to do a changeover at 2 degrees. So to change the heat, it's going to drop within 70 degrees for it to actually physically change over. The end user in the room, the only thing you're ever going to see on their controller is the last mode that it's in. Okay, so even with auto changeover enabled, what happens if you're standing in front of the controller and you first enable that program, you'll see it come up, say auto, and it looks at the sensor, looks at the room temperature, it says, okay, I need to cool. It goes to cool, and that's all you see displayed. Or it goes to heat, all you see. It never says auto, cool set point, heat set point. So on this, what I've done is I've enabled what's called set point tracking. And what it allows them to do, they can actually take that cooling set, let's say it's in cool mode, so they can take a bump all the way to the maximum, and it will drag that heat set point along behind it to the maximum. So right now you got a 6-degree offset. If they drag it up to 78 degrees, that'll bring your heat set point up to the maximum of 72. But again, it'll still have to fall below 70. So I'm just preparing you for when they call you and say, hey, I'm doing this, and I ain't getting heat. I want to heat. But that access to the mode button, they can't force it to happen. The only way they can do it is basically pump that cool set point up and wait for that room temperature to drop. So if that controller is telling you that it's 72 or 73 degrees in that room, it's not going to make a change. It's got to drop, and these things work off of math and numbers. Like I said, they don't look at Martha, they make a decision based on what how.
So you got to make the area cold in order for it to respond to heat.
That's right. Yeah. I won't make that comment. I see funny things happen in schools.
Yeah.
Little shells start to appear underneath of the controllers to, be a convenient place for a cup of coffee or a cup of ice.
Heat it up, yeah.
Right. You can undo it. You got a son-in-law or neighbor that works HVAC that responds to them. Anyway. Again, if you wanted to make some sweeping changes, this is where you would do it from. And again, this is where you come to look at your error codes and things like that. What's nice about having this, it's a central controller, it gives you one place to look at everything. Now you'll notice you have this one zone up here called All. You can make on-the-fly changes to the mode if you want to cooling set points, heating set points, things like that. But keep in mind, this All zone is a default zone and it has all the air handlers in it. You can't delete it. but it is subordinate to what is defined in all of these others.
Right, it's
that
the
you
master
agree.
control of all of them.
That's right.
Can I switch that master controller to this one? Can I make that the
And that's
master
not,
controller one?
you're thinking a little bit differently, like in a heat pump with master controller. This zone here allows you to make on-fly changes, but when I say it's subordinate to these others, in other words, if I've got restrictions and set point ranges defined in these,
Right.
that's going to be what it defaults to. So you go in here and try and change outside the range of what's defined in any of the others, it won't let you do it.
So it's not that's what I was saying, it's not like that other control y'all got where if I have that one as the master controller and I want that lady to be the master controller room, I can't make her that way.
You don't have that concern in this building. Since it's heat recovery, basically every controller is its own master.
Okay. All right.
Every one of them. The only exception would be like on this big unit doing the horticulture area, that's a heat pump, but it's only got one air handler on it, so again, it's its own master.
Yeah, because they had that problem at the other school where a lady was locking her room in and everybody had to follow her.
Yeah, that's right.
So we had to, we didn't
gonna-
show up, but we took her off of it.
You're not going to have that problem here. I'm trying to think if there's any place in
The
the
new one
building.
was up there, deal. They could lock that one stat to control all of them in that area.
You
But
know
there's a
what,
certain
you
way
do
do it.
have one area, I'm just thinking about it, one, maybe two. Down this hallway right here, there are 2 quarter units off of one branch select. That branch selector is basically what allows that unit to operate independently. So there's 2 air handlers, 2 remote controls. One of those is in fact,
The leader.
that's right, is a master. Now you can actually see that when you come in there, if you take and go a page down and you get this perspective. Every one that you see right like this here,
It's a master.
that is showing you changeover option, that's a master controller. All these ones that show nothing alongside of it are probably the sub-unit in the room with it.
Yeah, he working off of him.
Yep.
But I can switch him to him. I go on to it.
That's right. Yeah, you know how to go to control,
Yeah.
hold the mode button down?
Yeah.
Now, the only problem you'll have doing that in this building is that the mode button is restricted to BAS. Okay? So you won't be able to go to that mode button and hold it down. It's going to come back and tell you under centralized control, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
But there's another way to get around that. If you ever had that problem, before I leave, I'll give you my phone number. I'll be happy to walk you through it. You can actually do it through here. I'm not going to get into that today. It's a little bit involved, but I'll get you through it. Okay? Any questions on this so far, guys? Want to step in the outdoor units?
No, one question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just want to know, does this keep a history when if this going to alarm?
Yeah, there is a history file in there. And basically what it allows you to export it to USB. You can see it on the screen as well. Let me show you that one time. And you can actually define what you want to look at. Right now, it's basically showing status, settings, control, all that stuff. You can go in here and delete out all those, rerun it, and just look at error codes. And then you can take and pop it out to a USB drive if you want.
Okay.
And that USB drive, I'm going to show you this, guys, because these doors get broken all the time. What it does, it actually slides down.
So instead of pulling somebody with
Okay.
So
There's your USB port sitting right there. The master and slave configuration on this is relative to having that BAS in there. So this and your expansion modules are all set up as slaves to the back.
is it easy to override anything that's an alarm?
It all depends on what the alarm is.
Okay.
If you have a fatal alarm, something that's causing the rest of the system to go out of operation, it's one of the things that will happen with these. When these get initialized, let's go back out here to this screen. Let me show you something. Let's take this guy for example. You see he's got 8 air handlers. When this was originally initialized, that outdoor unit came in here and found all those air handlers, interrogated them, figured out what their capacities were, et cetera, created this algorithm to create a system. So now, if you were to go to this unit here in that room and physically turn the breaker off to it, this entire system will quit working. And the reason for it is that it looks for a call, and it does a roll call each time.
Right.
And if that guy drops out, it says, well, I've lost a member of the family. So just like the Marines, don't ever leave anybody behind, it stops right there, and it'll typically throw you a U4 code is what you'll expect to see. All your icons here will get a blue triangle in them.
Hey,
Your controllers and cells be flashing a green light. You don't want to see a green light flash on a vacuum controller, that's a problem.
But we can clear from here instead of going out there programming. We can
Well,
move from
it all
here.
depends now. If it's U4 code, you gotta go figure out what you've lost. Now, the easiest way to do it is to walk that system, look at the controls. Typically, you'll get a code that's different than the rest.
Which boxes?
So, right, so when you get around there and you look at that controller, you know, you see U4, 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 U401. Let's look at this guy. Probably my brand selector
Okay.
been turned off,
What time
the
is
area
it?
been turned off. Or you get to the controller and the controller's dark. So you know right there, it's been turned off, put your power back on. 9 times out of 10, it'll restore itself on its own. But I would tell you, if you have a power failure and you're losing units, say a record trips on a Friday, and you don't realize you get here on Monday, you got an issue, you'll probably have to go to the outdoor unit and recycle it back.
Right, recycle that little bit.
That's right. And let it come back to like, what it'll do, it'll only sit there and pull for so long,
For the inspection.
20, 30 minutes maybe, then it goes to sleep. It says, well, whatever that problem is, I'm not able to get this guy talking to me anymore, so I'm just gonna go ahead and snooze. Okay? Now, but to answer your question, let's say that you go to that unit and you find that it's got some other problem, maybe the board in it is actually causing the problem. You go up there and your power's on, controller's lit, but this unit is causing you to have a problem. It's causing the whole thing to be cratered. You can come right back here to system settings, go to maintenance, and you can select that unit, flip it over into this column, hit OK, and now what it'll do, if you go look at that icon again, in fact, let's go ahead and do this
So
right here.
7 units, take away 1.
I can't remember where that room is, but it will spelunk in and find it. But what it will do, it will give you an eyeball right in the middle of that icon to indicate
It's all fine.
that it's in maintenance mode. There it is. It was in the first group.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you took this out and now these can run.
That's right.
Because he's in maintenance mode.
That's right. Now, that's got a bug. I've actually experimented with that. And the bug is this. If you put it in maintenance mode, just like I just did, everything is fine unless you have an interruption in power somewhere. And then what it'll do is it'll come back and it'll go to, it's right, it'll go to
It resets
U4.
itself, yeah.
Then you'll have to come back up here. Basically, what you gotta do is come back out to this, go here, bring that thing
Do it
up,
again.
and basically you just highlight, hit OK. So you're basically just updating.
Okay.
Yep. And when you're done, just remove it. Hit OK. And you should see this thing go back to your. Some of these other menu functions back here, I don't know how much you'll get into using them. The auto changeover, this is something I built and defined all of these. Okay, so these are routines that are defining how that condensing unit is going to operate in the auto changeover mode. All right, right now it's set up with a 2-degree deadband. I mean, you can reduce that to 1 degree if you want. Like I said, if you got a 72-degree set point, it's got to drop to 70. Same thing, 73-degree set point, it's got to rise to 75 before it actually comes on start running. Okay. And you'll notice too, they're all set up for individual. So every individual room can make its own decision based on those parameters. Okay. All right. Let's see, under system settings, it's not been done, but you can actually access this device over your intranet. If you get your IT guy to provide you with an IP address, subnet, and all that, you can basically get into this thing. You know, you have to put a cable into it.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.